every lyric is a story, and it's so funny because every word has already been said, but it's about the way you place it and about the way you tell it that makes it so beautiful, and that's what makes it your own. And that's why I've always loved music, because you could write a song, but that doesn't necessarily mean somebody's going to relate to it in the same way. That's the beauty and the art of music. Whenever I'm feeling down or whenever I'm feeling happy, like if you really think about it, music is for all emotions, you know what I mean? That's why it's so universal, and that's why I love it. That's why it's my passion.
Thank you so much for your time. We've been big fans of yours since The Voice. I mean, yeah, it's hard to believe that you were 13
I know.
I know.
on national
I
TV
I
singing.
yeah, I honestly feel like time has passed by so fast. I was actually just talking about this with my mom the other day. Like I still remember being 13 and on The Voice like it was literally yesterday, you know what I mean? Like all of that, the whole entire process took about like a year, and making fourth finalists and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was just, it felt so long, and then looking back at it, it was like, wait, hold on. That wasn't yesterday, you know what I mean? So it's been super crazy and super hectic, but I'm very, very grateful.
I mean, you
Yeah.
were, like you said, 13, so you're obviously still in school. How did you do like The Voice plus school plus balancing just personal life? How did you do all of those things?
So I had a teacher over there when I was doing The Voice. She was like a second mom
Mhm.
to me. She is the sweetest human being ever. And I was so grateful that I had her as my teacher, especially because I was, at one point, I was the only minor in the competition.
Mm.
It was just very comforting to know that I had someone so good in my life, and also, to be my teacher. So balancing school was honestly really easy. And thank God my school was super cooperative when it came to like assignments and stuff, and really didn't give me that much work, which I was very grateful for, because
Nice.
school can be stressful on its own, let alone
Mhm.
when you're across the country and you have to do everything virtual. But she was so helpful, and I still speak with her till this
Mhm.
day. I have attachment issues to people, so like, I totally text her I miss you like at 12 a.m. for no reason, because that's just how I am. And she's like, I miss you more, and it's just so comforting to know that I still have her in my life. But
Mm.
I was so grateful that at that time I had someone so secure
Mhm.
like her, with me. So
Absolutely.
I'm very grateful
No,
for
we
that.
love her. You want to give her a shout out? What's her name?
Yeah, I do. Her name was
We
Wendy.
love
I
Wendy.
love her so much, and I miss her forever. I hope I get to see her
No.
soon in
For
California. So
sure. So you're part of, I imagine, a very select small group who's been on now The Voice and most recently American Idol. So now, by the age of 16, you've had these like two enormous experiences performing literally in front of millions of people on national
yeah.
television live.
Mhm.
What is that like? And how did you kind of manage your own mental health and self care with being in such like high pressure situations at such a young age?
I would say it was definitely a challenge. Being so young, you obviously think about so many different things and what people think of you or who you should be for other people. And I kind of felt like for a really long time, especially when I was in The Voice, because I was a little younger, I was very focused on who I should be for other people, considering the audience that was watching me. And I
Mm.
didn't really know who I wanted to be for myself. And that's why I'm really glad I got the opportunity to do American Idol, because I feel like now I'm kind of in a place where I'm just starting to figure out who I am, but I kind of know. Like now I sort of have an idea, and I was ready to showcase that. And I was ready to show people that, okay, yeah, I'm young. You can be young, but you can still chase your dreams. You can still make music.
Mhm.
I think a lot of, especially older people, tend to think that because there's so many young artists, they kind of just don't know what they're doing. But I've known what I wanted to do since I was 2 years old. Like I have videos of me singing Justin Bieber when I was two. Like, and I knew that was something
Wow.
I wanted to do. So just dealing with the pressure was something that came with time. It always got easier as you did it more and more and more. And I kind of just had to, take a step back and make myself realize that I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it for me. And like, this is what I love doing. Yes, it's a competition. And yes, the world is a competition, but I have to realize that no, at the end of the day, if this is what I love doing, then I shouldn't let any of that affect me mentally.
the feedback you would get in real time online, like you kind of manage like criticism or negative feedback when it does come? Do you try to stay away from it completely, or like what's the move?
I have never been the type of person to like read comments, like, because it really doesn't phase me, you know? And I'm really glad that I have that mindset, and I can thank my parents for that. My parents are amazing. They have guided me through so much, and I would not be anywhere without them. I don't expect everybody to like me. I don't expect everybody to like the way I sing, the way I speak, the way I act, because no, that's not the way the world works. Everything's going to be fine. You just have to literally stay strong, and you have to keep a strong mindset. That's literally what it's all about.
I'm curious if there's any like self-care practices or things that you do for yourself that build you up and help you learn about who you are. You mentioned that you finally are starting to get an understanding of who you are. Are there any self-care practices that have helped alongside that?
One self-care practice is definitely just kind of listening to music and hearing other people's perspectives of life and how they go through things, you know. Every lyric is a story, you know, and it's so funny because every word has already been said, but it's about the way you place it and about the way you tell it that makes it so beautiful, and that's what makes it your own. And that's why I've always loved music, because you could write a song, but that doesn't necessarily mean somebody's going to relate to it in the same way. That's the beauty and the art of music. Whenever I'm feeling down or whenever I'm feeling happy, like if you really think about it, music is for all emotions, you know what I mean? That's why it's so universal, and that's why I love it. That's why it's my passion.
When you came back from, let's say, The Voice, I'm sure a lot of people at school wanted to be your friend, or all of a sudden we're like, oh, hey, Hailey. How did you kind of navigate who's the real ones? How do you know which friends really want to be friends for you?
I had just gotten eliminated, and I had to go back like almost right away and try and like, you know, snap back to reality really fast. So dealing with all of that, and then on top of that, dealing with people like that who are just kind of like, hey, want to be my bestie. It was just like I just kind of ignored it. I have two really good girlfriends of mine. They've been my friends through and through. In my freshman year, I was going through a lot mentally, and because I was so young, I barely knew how to deal with it. And I will admit, I definitely took it out on them a lot of the time. And when I was angry or when I was upset, I wouldn't speak to them and I wouldn't talk to them. But I'm so grateful that they are the way that they are, because they always just accepted me for who I was. I'm really grateful that I had that. And, you know, I realized that very quickly, that, okay, these are my people, you know, like, and I don't really need anybody else. I've never been the kind of person who wanted a really big friend group or like wanted to go to parties. Like even my mom will probably tell you, like I didn't want to go out. I literally thought nowhere was a place. My mom would be like, "Do you want to go somewhere?" I'd be like, "No, I want to go nowhere." I was like, "Okay." Even when I was little, you know, I love, you know, being by myself or just with my super close loved ones. And I think that I realized that super early on.
You've also had some incredible coaches and,
Yes.
got to be coached by Ariana Grande, Kelly Clarkson. Is
Yeah.
there any piece of advice you picked up from any of them that
Yes.
has really stuck with you?
Ariana Grande. When I was 13, I remember being in a room. I was rehearsing for Car Wash, and we were going over the song, and I felt so helpless because I kind of felt like the song wasn't for me. I felt like I sounded terrible, and like the world was crashing down, and I was going to get eliminated, and this and that. And she was just like, "Hold on, like take a step back and just push, you know, just like keep pushing." And I did. And she was like, "Everything you do needs to have value, and it needs to have intention." And that's really stuck with me. Now every song that I write or everything that I say, I'm like, how does this add value to whatever I'm speaking about or to whatever I'm making? This is the best thing to do. What value does this have to me? What value would this have to the other person or the other situation?
What did it feel like to be in a room with big stars? And like, were you starstruck at some points, or what did that feel like?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I was totally starstruck. Ariana Grande for me was my idol since very, very little. My mom has videos of me singing her song or attempting to sing her songs when I was like 10 or like 9 years old. It was just crazy to be in a room with them. But as time goes on, you do just realize, like, oh my God, like you worked so hard to get to where you had to be. And I admire that. I want to be like that, you know? There was obviously some starstruck moments, but then there was obviously just some moments where it's like, wow, like I'm just grateful. And I'm just grateful that this is happening. But The first time I walked on that stage, especially on The Voice, if you really look at my audition, I was shaking, like I was trembling, I was so nervous, especially because I thought nobody was gonna turn for me. So I was just kind of like super nervous. I think I was a little more calm when I did American Idol because it wasn't the pressure of, having to hold a mic and like having to have stage presence. It was just kind of like you're here, but you're in front of these people and
Yeah.
you just have to sing.
I imagine you have a lot of young fans and other aspiring kind of musicians who look up to you. Do you have anything you'd want to share to them, whether it be on a topic of kind of like taking care of themselves on the journey or just tips or anything?
Being in so many competition shows and just seeing what the music industry is like, I feel like you have to be something for certain people. So I think just staying true to yourself and just really putting your opinion out there and just making sure your love should always be heard, what your passion should always be heard, and you shouldn't let anybody tell you differently. You shouldn't let anybody really affect that. Honesty is really the best policy, and it doesn't matter what other people think of you or what opinions they have. If you stay true to yourself, the process will be much easier because then you won't have to do so much digging of, finding who you are. You've always been authentically you. And I feel like that's the most beautiful thing you could have, especially, being a young artist. For a long time, I was just kind of like, okay, well, when am I going to be famous? Like, when am I just going to start singing at MetLife Stadium? You know what I mean? And I just realized, I was like, wait, that's never just gonna happen if I don't work for it. God will not bless you a day before he knows you are ready. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
just show that you're ready and work for it.
Who would you say is like a dream music collab? If you could ask God right now for a dream music collab, is there one that comes to mind?
I would definitely say Adele.
Mm.
Wow.
If there's anyone who I aspire to be as a person and as an artist, it would be Adele. And I'm actually so grateful because I went to go see her. She shows that she's real. Like, she cracks jokes all the time, and you would never expect someone like her to be funny. You know what I mean? And she's hilarious. And I just thought it was so real and it was so raw and authentic. I'm grateful I got to see her. Pray I get to collab with her one day, even though she doesn't really do collabs. I'll pray until my lungs give out.
We're
It's
putting it out there.
yeah, it's never too late to start dreaming. So
The song that you sang by Adele, I think it was in Hollywood Week.
yes,
It was like my favorite performance, and I was really upset that they didn't play the full song.
yeah, me too.
And
I was actually really excited to sing that song because I've always wanted to sing an Adele song on stage. I finally got the opportunity, and then when I did, it was kind of just like, okay, let's show a clip. I was like, oh,
you know, we were
man.
like, what?
Yeah, I was kind of upset about that, but everything happens for a reason. I'm just glad I got to
Right.
do it, and I can post it on my Instagram and stuff like that.
Obviously, if you're putting yourself on social media, it's really natural to compare yourself to other people.
Yes.
Is there anything or any wisdom that you can share about, like, if you do compare yourself to other people, or if you try not to, or kind of like what you can share connected to that?
You have to realize that, again, God made you a certain way for a reason, and that person that you're trying to compare yourself to was made a certain way for a reason. You should be very grateful that, you know you do look the way you do, because everybody is just so beautiful in their own way. And I think once you realize that, you can appreciate everybody else's beauty, and you can just appreciate, the beautiful world you live in itself, and just everybody in it. Stay true to yourself and just love yourself as much as you can, because I know it's hard, but as long as you try, that's really all you can do.
We are so grateful for you for your support in the past. You're repping the
Yes,
988. We
I
love
am. I
that.
wear your guys' hoodies all the time. I wear them to the studio. I wear them out if I'm going to Stop and Shop, like literally all the time. They're just so comfy as well. And the message on them, it's so funny because I actually find people like just reading it, and they're actually like taking time, and I'm like, such beautiful things. The things you guys do, it's so beautiful, and I really appreciate it. And I will always rep it.
Is there, I guess, anything else you'd kind of want to share or put out there?
I think I kind of covered everything I wanted to cover, which I'm very grateful because I know I can be a yapper, so I apologize.
No?
I definitely love doing stuff
Oh.
like this because I don't really think I get to showcase who I really am on my Instagram a lot. I'm really glad I got to do this, so I actually just want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. I'm very grateful, so thank you.